I'll kick it off here. Welcome everybody to episode 4 of Neoteric's retail webinar series. We have two fantastic guests, Kim Mitchell, Robert Haydock. If you all remember our last episode, we touched on retail and digital and hospitality and casinos. But with this episode, at the time of this recording, we're coming right off of the Black Friday, Cyber Monday holiday, and we thought it'd be beneficial to reflect a little bit on that, but then also talk about some of the intricacies with planning for the remainder of the holidays, Christmas, New Year's, and things of that nature. So first off, Kim, if you want to just give us a brief intro and overview about yourself. Yeah.
Sure. I'm Kim. I am currently the Director of CRM and Lifecycle Marketing at Hayday. We're a national brand of facial salons. And in the last 15 years or so of my career, I've been focused on customer retention, largely for companies that are either fully e-commerce companies or companies that have e-commerce and brick and mortar locations.
Awesome. And incidentally, Kim and myself worked at Beachbody 7, 8 years ago, so we kind of go way back. It's weird. I feel like the holidays weren't, well, at Beachbody, the holidays weren't the peak period. It was more the New Year, like January, March, February, March was the peak season. So
Right.
it was a little,
For fitness companies, January is Black Friday and Black Friday month.
yeah, and that's where all the crazy aspirational goals kind of came in. But well, great. And Robert, I guess before you introduce yourself, I was just looking at your background, and I didn't realize you started Scratch It originally, and then so I guess would love to hear a little context about how that evolved into Zambula. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Robert, co-founder, CEO of Zambula, founded the company 11 and a half years ago. And like you mentioned, Phil, started as Scratch It, and we did scratch offs and reveal with an email, but a more branded experience, and kind of introduced that to the market. And then pivoted about 4.5 years ago to focus on real-time images in email. So we update email when it's opened and work with brands like Forever 21, J. Crew, Joybird, and others.
Very cool, very cool. And I think, are you currently at the Email Insider Summit? Is it in Utah, I want to say, or?
Yeah, so I was actually just there, just got back, and just spent the last 3 or 4 days getting up to speed on the latest in email and what executives are thinking about going into next year.
Very cool, very cool. And I think I saw, did you guys sponsor a ski event or something? I saw a post on
Yeah,
LinkedIn. Yeah.
snowmobiling. We always sponsor the snowmobiling, which is always a great time, and hopefully nobody hurts themselves.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, it's just caught my attention on the feed today, and I know a lot of people definitely in the CRM email space. That's one of the big like hot conferences and whatnot. I don't know, maybe we do a deep dive into that in a future episode, but we'll see. Um, but yeah, just to give some context. So a lot of times we like to talk about some of the trends just going out at a macro level. So just some quick stats from Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So from an e-commerce perspective, it looks like total e-commerce spend rose around 8% to 41 billion during Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Both the actual days, Black Friday and Cyber Monday, were up. And on the brick and mortar retail side, sales were more flat. So we've kind of had this reoccurring theme that e-commerce or direct to consumer continues to grow and expand, but brick and mortar is remaining flat. But it's also just interesting because a big topic with the election was with the current administration. Inflation, interest rates is depressing consumer spend, but still the holidays across at a macro level were still really solid and successful. And we'll definitely go into that a little bit more in detail here. I think, yeah, one thing that I believe I teed up to both of you, and that's been kind of interesting is over the last 4 to 5 years, it just seems like with Black Friday, Cyber Monday, promotions start earlier and earlier. You know, it used to just start right on Black Friday and end on Cyber Monday. I guess just curious from both of your perspectives, like what did you see this year? Did you see kind of a same approach to 2023, or did you see things start earlier? Just kind of curious from your perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, I can pop in first. I think Robert will have some of his own examples and point of view, but it's definitely starting earlier than it definitely starts earlier than Black Friday. And whether or not for some companies it's it starts in October and continues on, and it's kind of solid for that period of time. Other companies I've noticed are kind of doing a pre-Black Friday sale, whether or not they actually call it a pre-Black Friday sale or they just have another event that goes on in the first half of November, or even October. I'm just noticing that it's a season. It's a season. It's certainly longer than just that weekend. So definitely noticing that. I think there are some consumers that want to get their shopping done early and are hungry for that even in October. So kind of seeing that generally starting like end of October, and then into November, there's some kind of an event, even if it's not all the way continuous through to Cyber Monday and beyond.
We definitely saw that too, Kim, where we saw people testing the waters fairly early this year, and then also experimenting with promotions in the kind of build up of what they actually want to run during Black Friday, Cyber Monday. But we're seeing the extension of the sales, but we also saw the revenue pick up earlier this year for a lot of our retailers than typical.
Yeah, so the audience has heard me talk about this a couple times, but my world right now is CPG and beverages, and the main brand I'm working with is trying to take a hard stance, no discounting. We're the highest price player in the non-alcoholic spirits, and we did run a Black Friday Cyber Monday promo, but it started the Wednesday of Black Friday week, and that was the first time that we discounted ever for a bundle. The rest of November, we got crushed in terms of sales. And that was just kind of my hypothesis when everybody else is starting, these earlier and earlier promos. It just killed us from a competition perspective. But I guess I was curious, I think Robert, you alluded to this, or maybe Kim, you did, but how have your brands thought about the level of discounting? When you think about the pre-Black Friday, period versus in Black Friday, Cyber Monday, did you see that discounts were escalating in value over time? How was the strategy thought of there with that?
I generally saw it escalating so that when you get to Black Friday, it's not, disappointing in any way. So I saw, for example, there kind of be, like a percentage off, with exclusions, let's say in the fashion world, a percentage off with exclusions leading up to, and then exclusions got lifted, during Black Friday. That's one example of something that I saw. So it's kind of like I've seen it build.
Yeah, we saw that too with the escalation and then the isolation of some categories where they would go deeper, but it was kind of building to more of the site-wide approach. And so I think we did see some deep discounts early, but they were for very specific SKUs or categories.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah. So one thing that we observed with our brand was that our bundle promo was a lot more effective for existing customers versus new customers. We were kind of hoping, given that we didn't discount at all, and then we finally discounted, that we would attract more new customers. I guess with the brands you all have worked with, did you have different promotions for, prospects versus returning? Like, did you have lower discounts for returning customers, or how is that kind of thought of to when you try to balance that?
That's one we didn't actually dig too deep into in the data, so I'd have to go back and look. But that's a really interesting question. Kim, did you see anything there?
I saw like there would be global promotions for everyone. And then there might be, in addition, if you were a loyalty member or if you were, like another kind of member or a VIP, that there were additional promotions for them. So That's what I saw some of, and
Gotcha.
what my own company even employed as our approach.
And then what about uh how have the brands thought about online versus in store? Like do they typically try to stay in sync? Do you maybe try to incentivize people to shop in store more? Or yeah, just kind of curious what either what you've seen in the past or what you saw this year with that too.
We echoed. And actually, and even in my past lives, it's like whatever you offer online, you kind of have to offer in store. If there's something about the nature of online versus in store where you can't, then you come up with like kind of like a substitute. If you shop online, you get this. If you shop on store, you get something of an equivalent value. But for the most part, whatever the discount is applied equally in both venues.
We've seen that vary a little bit on the size of the retailer and the type of retailer, where it's like, an outlet store. They'll usually be looking at the flags of the customer, whether they're an in-store purchaser only or whether they're an online purchaser only. And we see them varying the discounts and kind of offering based on those customers and looking to segment those out. So we saw a lot more this year of retailers dividing between the in-store and online buyer and trying to identify those and provide different promotions to them.
Yeah, so that's interesting too. Given that segmentation split that some of your clients have had, when you think about email, and I don't know, maybe even direct mail, do they try to drive them if it's like an in-store flag? Are they focusing more on driving them back to their local store versus the site, or how have you all seen that kind of play out? Or
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that where they are looking to provide different content. It's challenging at that kind of scale to do that, and it's a lot more creative work. So it's kind of picking and choosing the spots that they want to do it. But we are seeing that, if that was easier to do on a regular basis, they would definitely be segmenting separately between online buyers and in-store buyers and providing them with different content.
Yeah. Cool. No, that's super interesting. The other kind of elephant in the room with these periods is so I guess it's a mix. You have your existing customers, you're driving repeat purchase behaviors, and then a big problem that we had when I worked in the flower industry is during their peak periods, we had these heavy discounts, site-wide sales, and that's where we drew in the majority of our new customers, like during Mother's Day and Valentine's Day, and then the challenge of just loyalty and repeat purchase behaviors. Like how if the starting point is just bringing people in on such heavy discounts, like how do you all think about, I know this is probably a really loaded question, but how do you think about, making sure that they're not just one and done and only coming back during, holiday periods and whatnot?
Yeah, I can say that there's definitely some retargeting after the holiday period. And if you've got some new customers who have come in on a pretty aggressive offer, there's kind of two ways that I've retargeted those folks before. One is if there is another promotion running, even if it's going to be something less aggressive, but there's another promotion running in the new year to retarget with that content. Or if not a promotion, then if there's something like a new innovation, a new service, a new product that is in the same category as what they purchased before, then that's a way of getting people back with something that's very relevant to them, even if at full price. So it's like kind of one method or the other based on promotional shopper promotion or promotional shopper bought category X. We've got something new for you in category X. We really want you to try it.
Yeah, Kim, what you're talking about there makes a lot of sense. And we see that too, where it's understanding what type of buyer you have and understanding the more you can understand if there's somebody who buys new product and based on the SKU or the item that they did buy, is it likely that they're a new products buyer? Are they only buying on discount? like what is their preference, and the quicker you can identify that, kind of the sooner you can know when to promote to them heavily and how to get the second purchase out of them. So getting the flags in place to understand that is really critical, and understand what you sold them and how you sold it to them helps with it.
Do you, I guess, I guess to partially offset that, do you all think about, if you bring them in during a holiday period, like how to aggressively either upsell them within that first order or get them to repeat faster than kind of a normal time frame? Is that something that's typically part of the playbooks you've seen too, or?
It's not what we've seen. Sorry, Kim.
No, you go ahead.
We don't see the retailers we work with spend a lot of time looking at how to get the second purchase off the holiday purchase. I think it's a tricky time. Like, you can try coupons. I mean, there's a lot of end of year stuff, and then January, people trying to sell out inventory. So there are definitely more discounts coming, but yeah, I think that's somewhere that there's a lot of opportunity for really good strategy around it. So we'll see. Yeah.
I have seen where there is an upsell before you exit the browser, the browser window that you're on, either a cross sell to a complementary item. Phil, we had a little bit of this at Beachbody. You buy one product and it's like, oh, well, what goes with that product is this. Do you want to add this onto your order? Or just adding another item at a discount if you're willing to add it to your cart, right away.
Yeah. Beachbody like mastered that. Whether it was online or I remember through their call center, they had really specific scripts that they would follow to upsell you. We're dating ourselves, but back when people called in to order DVDs and stuff like that, which is like,
that's reminding me, Phil, of some of I think there are a few Shopify apps out there that I've seen on the cross sell upsell that keep the card open. So it's just one click to do that. And I feel like Land's End maybe used to do the cross sell post purchase too, like right after you buy it.
Right after you buy it. Yeah.
Thank you for your purchase. Here's some other things we think that you would love.
Yeah.
Right. So switching gears to Christmas. I guess kind of a two-part question, and you guys can take this wherever you want. It's I think 2024 is kind of interesting because Thanksgiving kind of fell a week later than it normally does, and we only have, I believe, 3 weeks or 3.5 weeks in between Black Friday and Christmas. So, have you seen brands, or Kim, your brand, did you guys take your foot off the gas at all with promotions after Cyber Monday, or have you seen brands just continue? I've seen call outs to like Cyber Week now or other terminology, but yeah, I guess I'm curious what you've seen this year and then maybe in the past, like how it's staggered. Yeah.
I've seen both wherever Black Friday falls, that the sale starts like on the Monday of that week of Thanksgiving and doesn't change if it's a little bit later, a little bit earlier. I suspect that from what I noticed of retailers this year, that some of them added another event, kind of like I was talking about before, where there may be another event that's either called pre-Black Friday, or was just referred to as, hey, we're having a promotion, it's 20% off, or some kind of an event earlier in November. And I suspect for some companies that was to help offset the fact that Thanksgiving and Black Friday fell, almost a week later. But I think that not all businesses did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's similar to what we've seen, Kim. One other thing we see is shipping cutoff becomes a bigger factor. And we see a lot of trying to leverage shipping cutoff to drive urgency around purchases after Cyber Monday. And so they'll really look to that as the way to make sure that people are making their decisions before that cutoff. And then after the cutoff, they'll go exclusively in-store promotions and drive people into locations.
Yeah, and then I know another thing too we used to do was or for brands that have gift cards, we would try to lean into that like the last depending upon your shipping cutoff, the last 4 to 6 days before Christmas as well too. But one thing that you just mentioned the in-store piece. This might be a pie in the sky thought, but have you like when I think about in-store retail, they're running to Kim's point, likely similar promotions as on the site. Is there communication between the two channels in terms of like what's selling well, what's not? Like, do you maybe influence like how you merchandise the site, like how you put what products you put on landing pages, placements and stuff based off of what's selling in store? Just curious if you all have seen that or had conversations about that.
In my past in fashion, yes. Yeah, there was definitely a sharing of information. Not everything that works in one market will work well in another market, or that works online will work in stores. So there's like kind of a processing of information, and then think about whether or not this is suitable for my store if you're a store manager, or if this is suitable for online. But I think definitely the knowledge sharing is there.
Business there, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting with email, we live slightly below those decisions where we kind of see what the marketer has been told from merchandising to focus on. So yeah, we don't actually see that part of the decision making. We see kind of the downflow part of what was the decision made and what are they targeting? Are they targeting in store, or are they targeting inventory that's available online?
Yeah, because that's what you just hit on is the last time I was involved in a brand that had like lots of SKUs and had perishable inventory. It was more about what's in stock to influence what we would promote that day or the next day. Like we never had that structure that Kim mentioned of where you kind of know what's selling well to maybe influence what you promote digitally. So that's yeah, it's an interesting kind of construction
I
there.
think I think that's an interesting thing for the future. I think it's going to get more sophisticated with understanding, what you need to sell through, what you have high inventory levels for, and then how you discount against particular SKUs or to individuals that are likely or have high propensity to buy something that maybe is a SKU that you have a ton of inventory for. So I think that is kind of the future of what we're going to see in retail is more focus on getting that data and making more granular decisions on how you discount.
Yep. So yeah, speaking of the future, we'll get to that in a second with AI. But I guess one thing I wanted to touch on real quick because all three of us have experience in beauty, skincare, in that space. Yeah, I'm just curious what you all have seen that has been really successful during the holidays in that space, and I'll kick it off. A big thing. So I used to work with Beekman 1802. They're body and skincare brand in upstate New York. And yeah, two things really kind of stood out. They had this really cool advent calendar. And so like other advent calendars, they had different either skincare or body care or hair care products within the advent calendar. And it was something they would only, sell in December, and it crushed it for them. That was a big thing. I think I've seen advent calendars with other brands and whatnot. So it seems like that's kind of a common thing. The other thing with them too was live selling. So live selling on Instagram and TikTok with an influencer or like a brand ambassador. Like it seemed like periodically doing that throughout the month also stood out. But yeah, just to tee it, I'm just curious what you all have seen as well.
I think in the beauty world, there's companies that sell products and companies that sell services, and some of them that do both. So where I am right now at Hayday, it's service based. We do sell products, but a lot of the business is people coming in for facials, and it's a highly giftable type of service. So we're seeing that. I mean, gifting and gift cards is really important to our business. at this time of year. Does that answer what you were getting at, Phil?
Yeah, I guess also too, I'd be curious too about maybe product bundling, which may not be applicable at Heyday, but like I know you were at Rodan and Fields in the past. I guess I'm curious too about yeah, like product bundling, like if anything that stood out, or is it kind of whatever worked in evergreen times or
Yeah, I'll just add so products that are naturally sold as bundles, you might have like a 4 pack of something, or just that are available year round as bundles are kind of natural gifts. And if you can offer it as something that is gift wrappable, that's even better. But then outside of what's available, evergreen year round, the kind of the curation of bundles, or like make your own bundle, can
oh
also be successful. So it could be, where you come in and you want to, if you buy 3 products, that you get, a free travel size, or you buy 3 products and you get like minis or deluxe samples or things like that. So it products do play into, to our business, and did at, Rodan and Fields as well. And then I think in addition to that, the more easily that you can make something giftable for someone, have it available with wrap, have it available where you can type out the message on the card that you would like.
mhm.
Those kind of extra mile things during the holidays can make a difference.
I think Kim, what you're mentioning about the bundling and kind of the in-store experience of that, we've seen the cosmetics companies that we work with try to achieve that on the digital side, and it's usually a technical challenge where trying to put these products together if they're not already pre-bundled and then ship them to somebody. We see cosmetics companies that's their core focus and they're really good at it, and it's kind of that build your own bundle experience. And then we see ones that don't typically do that and would love to do it on holiday, but when they look at the technical challenge of doing it, that's kind of the blocking point. And so you'll see it in store, but you won't see it digitally just because of the complexity of trying to achieve that.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. The when you say technical challenge, is it because I guess with us in beverages, we have very limited SKUs, but we for us it's kind of it's actually like the boxes that we have sourced, and if certain bundles were to be ordered together, we just wouldn't have the right packaging for it. Is
Yeah.
is that it, or is it another piece that's that I'm just curious like what
It's
the technical challenge
it's
is.
kind of both. You know, popular platforms like Shopify aren't really set up well to build your own bundle. So if you're going to do it, you kind of have to manufacture the SKUs on the fly, by pulling those products together. And then you have kind of the outsourced aspect of who's fulfilling that order for you and how they can manage that at that distribution center. And so, yeah, unless you own the whole infrastructure and have the ability to do that, it becomes a really hard problem.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Got you. Because yeah, to your point, in store, it's already prepackaged. It's already on the shelf. You can just
Yeah.
pick it up, and yeah, we fell into that issue. We're trying to sell through Amazon, and we want to have different packaging arrangements for different types of restaurants and customers, and it was a challenge for them to support it. So yeah.
I mean, I think that's one of the advantages of in store, right? Is you just have the flexibility. You don't have these constraints around it. So it could be just a store employee starts putting a few things together, in a spot in the store, and it becomes a lot easier to buy 3 items. And I feel like that's where the internet kind of fails a little bit is how do you make that easy experience of bundling in store something that's as easy digitally?
Yeah, no, that's a really really great nugget there. But yeah, so to close out, we typically close these sessions out in the wonderful world of AI. And I like to keep this open-ended, but we like to chat about or opine about like how do you see AI influencing holiday periods in the future? So things we've touched upon in the past, media investments, product personalization, segmentation. I guess, Robert, not to put you on the spot, but I saw Zambula has this Curator AI product. Yeah, I was curious. Maybe that's
Yeah.
a jumping off point for here. You can sell your side guys a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what we see is a lot of the AI focus is on large language models and the copywriting. And one of the things we see on a day-to-day basis is the struggle around the product photography and the limitation of the availability of that. It's very expensive to go out and take a picture of a model. And so what we're seeing with AI is the ability to crop out the existing photography and isolate either the model or the product, and then we're able to use that and incorporate it into like bundles of groups of items or categories or even retheming. And so what we're seeing is that we can get much more creative variety and also the cohesiveness. If you think about trying to put a bunch of products together in an email, you want it to feel like it was built by one designer, not a bunch of modules. And so once you cut out the products, it just gives you a lot more flexibility in how to approach that in the future. So that's what we're most excited about.
And
I think
so,
the
oh,
content
sorry.
creation. Oh, sorry, Phil. I was just gonna say,
Yeah,
just to build off what Robert was saying, that the content creation is definitely something that that my current and past companies that we've utilized more and more. And I really notice a difference in the quality of of Chat GPT and like other tools that are generating content. It used to, I mean, some of these services existed like 10 years ago, but I won't name any that you and I used at our previous company. But 10 years ago, they were in a certain place where you could really tell that this was not your, copywriter writing on brand. Things were generated that sounded just off, just off. But now it's really, I feel like that, technology can even read brand voice better than it could then. So that's something that we're using, and I'm more happy to use now than I was, years ago when it was, when it was off.
yeah. It's no, it's funny when you started talking, I knew exactly who you were talking about that we used 10 years ago. But yeah, it's becoming scary, and it's interesting because I was listening to some investors. I think it was one of the Shark Tank guys, and he was predicting in 2 3 years, or they were just talking about AI in general. And it's not like AI is going to completely replace people and humans, but the skill set that's going to be valued is how well you can train AI. And to your point, like I'm seeing a lot of really interesting applications where you can have it course correct, like the tone. Obviously, you can say what the offer is, but you can have it like speak in a completely different vein by just guiding it in the right direction, and that's super interesting. Yeah, but I'm curious where the imagery and creative where that's gonna go. One startup that I'm talking with right now, they created an investor video off of AI, off of prompts, and I thought that was, I mean, it wasn't the greatest, but even if you can get kind of a starting point for that, I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
I mean, I think the great thing is this is as bad as it's ever going to be. And it's only going to get better over the next 3 to 5 years. And the fact that it's as useful as it is right now, and we've only had it for a couple of years, I feel like even if it didn't get better, the use of it and the software built to make it better will improve it a lot.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, no, I think, yeah, I mean, I think that's all, that's all that I had to cover. I guess, we like to like lay out some predictions. I mean, Robert, maybe that's your prediction right there, but for 2025 holidays, do you guys see more of the same from what we chatted about? Do you see anything that's going to be different in 2025? Yeah, just to close it out here, if you have any final thoughts here,
I think we're going to see, more use of AI, not less. I think, the ease of payment, continues to evolve. I was reading kind of the amount of use of like Apple Wallet and, all the different tools to pay has really evolved and will probably continue to evolve. Just to try to make the transaction as seamless as possible.
I agree with Kim. I think the use of AI is going to expand, and I feel like next holiday will probably be the first year that a surprising amount of language is written with AI, and the product photography starts getting changed by AI. And I think we'll see that on the ad side probably first, and then the following year or two, we'll start seeing it on the rest of like the website and email.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was gonna call out. I mean you're already seeing this to some extent, but user generated content is just so prevalent. So from an ad perspective, and I think it's gonna be a really big part of the mix from a creative ad perspective in 2025, like maybe even the majority of what's actually tested and ran in 2025. Yeah.
I mean, the crazy thing I hope that happens is we get a lot of the AI transformation, where you have something turn into something else in the ad world. Because I've seen these kind of morphing of what looks like kittens into a product or something. And I think there's going to be some really fun advertising creative where they like use the AI forward and bring it forward in the advertising to kind of morph between things instead of trying to use it to kind of disguise and do something that looks realistic. I hope they get creative in taking advantage of it.
That's super interesting there. Well, cool. Well, thank you both for joining here. Definitely interesting topic, and yeah, curious to see how the Christmas holiday turns out. But good luck to both of you too with the close out of the year.
Great to talk to the two of you. Robert, so nice to meet you.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate both of you having me on. Nice to meet you too, Ken.